The story begins with Sue, a young woman, sitting across from her father as he drops a bombshell. He's actually a god from the heavens, and her mother is from the monster realm. Sue's immediate thought is that this divine and monstrous heritage should make her ridiculously overpowered. However, her father quickly dashes her hopes, explaining that her divine and monstrous traits cancel each other out, leaving her as an ordinary human. Naturally, Sue finds this hard to believe. She confronts her mother, expecting her to deny it, but her mother confirms every word. Then, as if this revelation weren't shocking enough, her parents tell her that, since she's finally got a job, they can leave the mortal realm and take a long overdue break. Before she can even process this, they kick her out of the house with some casual goodbyes. Determined to get more answers, Sue sneaks back into the house. However, she's immediately embarrassed to catch her parents wearing what she assumes are cosplay outfits. Her mother explains these are actually their original clothes from their time outside the mortal realm. Unable to handle any more, Sue storms out, tears streaming down her face. She ends up sitting alone on a bench, feeling sorry for herself. A cat approaches, and she assumes it's been abandoned too. Feeling an instant connection, her spirits lift slightly, but then the cat bolts. Determined to save the poor creature, Sue chases after it. In the process, she's approached by a real estate agent who offers to help her find a place to live. He shows her several options, but Sue finds a problem with each one. As the agent begins to lose hope, another man shows up and says he'll take over. The mysterious cat reappears, and the agent mentions it's a local stray that hangs out in the area. This alone convinces Sue to sign a lease for the apartment. The moment she signs, the agent cackles like a villain, and the contract starts glowing. The two men reveal themselves in bizarre outfits and explain that Sue is now responsible for both of them. As they begin monologuing, Sue takes the opportunity to run away. Exhausted from her escape, she finds herself alone again, but the cat reappears. She apologizes for failing to give it a home. To her shock, the cat transforms into one of the men. She scrambles to call 911, but her phone morphs into the real estate agent. Before she can fully process this madness, a new figure appears, a god named Fu. He proclaims her the chosen one and her new landlord. Sue insists she's a nobody, unfit for any kind of divine mission. Fu explains that while her divine and monstrous powers offset each other, she's still special. Sue accuses them of being hired actors by her parents and demands to speak with her mother. The agent makes the call, transforming into her phone mid-conversation, but her mother brushes her off, saying she's boarding a plane. Fu elaborates, explaining that gods have turned into objects to assist humanity, while monsters serve as their helpers. He introduces the agent, Tan, as her phone, and the cat, Deck, as a monster in disguise. Sue's mission? To help them understand mortal life. Despite her protests, Fu reminds her she signed a contract, and breaking it has consequences. A bolt of lightning strikes Tan as proof, and Sue begrudgingly agrees to help. The next morning, Sue wakes up determined to embrace her new life as the chosen one. However, she finds her living room filled with gods, which annoys her. Tan wakes up panicked, thinking they've been robbed. Sue casually explains she sold almost everything because the house was too crowded, though she kept Tan since he's her phone. Tan reminds her of her duty to guide gods and monsters in the mortal realm. They argue until Deck appears and thanks Sue for selling their belongings. Tan accuses Deck of betrayal, but Deck shrugs, saying he just doesn't want to work. Their bickering irritates Sue, but Tan asserts that humans are basically slaves to their phones, making him her master. Sue resists the urge to smash him, unwilling to break her phone. She asks what they want to experience in the mortal world. Deck offers to show them, having lived among humans for years. At the park, Sue ends up playing with children, only to realize Tan is treating her like a child. Furious, she demands to know why she's playing in the sand. Tan explains this is what humans do for fun. On the verge of punching him, Sue restrains herself, thinking about how expensive a new screen would be. Later, they visit a club to explore nightlife. After an exhausting all-nighter, Sue is barely functioning, but Tan enthusiastically declares he had fun, right before vomiting. At a quieter spot, Sue tries to talk, but Deck keeps shushing her. Frustrated, she tries to leave, but Tan insists the mission isn't over. He suggests observing her in the bathroom, which earns him a table to the face. Sue demands a normal phone, but Tan defends his form, claiming he's indestructible. She tests this by punching him repeatedly until he reverts to his human form. Deck, not to be outdone, demands tea. Sue refuses until he transforms into a cute cat, a form she can't resist. Satisfied, Deck gloats, but Sue strangles him in retaliation. Tan shifts tactics, serving Sue snacks and urging her to continue the mission. Sue decides to teach them about modern human life by introducing them to the concept of being a couch potato. They spend a lazy day together, much to Sue's satisfaction. The next morning, Sue's peace is interrupted when a group of beings enters her home, tracking dirt everywhere. Fu arrives, explaining it's a routine inspection. Sue complains about her crowded apartment and requests a better one closer to work. Fu dismisses her request, saying humans are never satisfied, and leaves, warning her to complete the mission. Determined to go to work, Sue prepares to leave, but Tan insists on following her as her phone. He reveals only she can see him in his current form. Exasperated, she reluctantly allows him to join her. At the office, Tan is initially fascinated, thinking work makes people happy. However, he soon notices her co-workers transforming into lifeless zombies as they enter their cubicles. Tan senses a strange presence and realizes something is controlling them. Suddenly, Sue's phone buzzes with a notification. She's been paid. The energy from the notification lifts her spirits and transforms everyone back to their cheerful selves. Tan marvels at this cycle of misery and rebirth, but Sue dismisses it as normal. When her co-workers invite her out, she declines, explaining that the cycle of suffering and brief happiness isn't for her. Later, Tan discovers Sue spent her paycheck on stocks. She explains her disillusionment with reality, leaving Tan in awe of her perspective. Reaching a level of enlightenment, Tan finds himself inexplicably bald. We see Tian cowering in a corner as Sue scolds him for waking her up early on a weekend. He is visibly upset, crying on the couch, while Dek remarks that humans are cruel for treating their phones like this. Tian warns Dek that he might get beaten if he keeps talking that way, but Dek tells him to get a grip. Tian admits that he just wants to see Sue happy, so he embarks on a quest to figure out what makes a selfish person like her truly happy. He spends time researching, seeking a solution that will help him fulfill his goal. Then, as Tian is absorbed in his thoughts, Sue suddenly appears, causing him to get hit again. Confused and desperate, Tian wonders what he needs to do to please her. He hears an inner voice, Siri's voice, that reveals a secret. Every phone possesses a hidden power that can solve all problems. Eager to solve Sue's mood problem, Tian calls out for Siri and opens the App Store, believing that this place can help him achieve his goal. Soon after, Sue wakes up and opens the door to find a group of women bursting into her room. Tian explains that they are the new apps he has chosen for her. These apps are eager to assist her in various ways, from suggesting lunch options to helping her pick out new clothes. The apps fuss over her, trying to please her, and while it might seem like Sue is upset, she secretly enjoys the attention. We see her relaxing on the sofa, as the apps provide her with everything she wants, from videos to suggestions for new filters. One of the apps asks for access to the camera, while another expresses concern about sending photos to her contacts. Sue continues to indulge in the apps, allowing one after another to suggest ways she can enhance her experience. However, as this continues, another app appears, calling itself the Phone Manager. Sue becomes annoyed by this new addition and decides to get rid of her, leading Dek to delete the Phone Manager app. The Filter app is upset but ultimately satisfied that Sue has removed the Phone Manager, as all the apps now aim to gain more control over her phone. The tension rises as the apps, now competing for authority, prepare for a battle. Sue, on the other hand, is playing a game when the gaming app offers her prizes in exchange for buying a VIP pass. After spending too much money, Sue realizes that she has gone overboard, leaving her feeling upset. Frustrated by the overwhelming number of ads and requests from the apps, Sue demands that Dek get rid of the gaming app. However, he is overwhelmed by the constant bombardment of notifications. Sue retreats to a calmer space with Tian, and as she does so, the apps seem to be trapped by some force, unable to leave her phone due to the lack of Wi-Fi. Tian explains that the apps are now begging for Sue to take them outside, as they need access to her mobile data. The Filter app, eager to stay in Sue's good graces, tries to manipulate her by suggesting that she choose a few apps to allow her data. Sue, realizing that the apps can be quite expensive, chooses only a few to go with her. The apps are disappointed, especially the Filter app, but Sue stands firm and walks away with the two apps she has chosen. As Sue and her selected apps venture out, they encounter a dog mascot. Sue, noticing the girl inside the costume, decides to take a photo with the dog, but the girl is exhausted from being inside the suit. Sue offers to help, and the girl reveals that she is the one inside the costume. The dog mascot's true identity is unveiled. He is an immortal dog who was attacked by other dogs after being sent to Earth. The dog disguised himself as the mascot, waiting for someone to pick him up, but he was too dirty for anyone to want him. Tion expresses sympathy for the dog, but Deck remains skeptical, questioning why the dog didn't come to him for help. The dog, now revealed as an immortal being, explains that he was abandoned by everyone until the girl took him in. Though she used him to attract people, she never abandoned him. Tion and Deck debate whether it would be better for the dog to go out with the girl in his original form, but the dog is too afraid to approach her. The girl returns, but as soon as she sees the dog, she runs away in fear. The dog becomes despondent, and Tion begins to believe that the dog's destiny is to be alone forever. Sue, however, has an idea. She recalls how people often say that milkshakes make them fat, yet they drink them anyway because the flavor outweighs their fears. She applies this analogy to the dog and encourages him to overcome the girl's fear with happiness. Sue and the dog run together, but the girl is still running away from him. Meanwhile, Sue is drinking a milkshake and notices a girl on a billboard talking about confidence. The girl in the advertisement reveals that she used to be overweight and lacked self-belief, but through perseverance, she learned to accept herself. Sue is shocked to realize that the girl on the billboard is the one who wore the dog costume. Inspired by this revelation, Sue decides to follow in the girl's footsteps and begin running to lose weight.